Chosen Vessels, what's the deal? It's your main man, Druuill, and I'm back at you again with another video. I need each and every vessel to hit that like button, hit that share button, and don't forget to subscribe. Shout out to the Galactic family, the GCVs, excuse me, and Drew Nation. Let's get right into it. The difference between energy vampires and random strangers, so you can know if you're entertaining an angel or a demon. Let's get right into it. A couple days ago, somebody put in the comments Hebrews 13. Hebrews 13. Keep on loving one another as brothers and sisters, for by doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it. So when I saw that, it sparked some thought in my mind, and I'd also put something in the comment section to where I had said something about being able to tell, or something about the difference. I said there's a difference between energy vampires and strangers. And as I started to look into it, I wanted to touch base on the angel aspect of strangers since I mentioned strangers. But I'm going to touch on a few things in this video that kind of deals with all of it, and I'll be bringing it full circle. The difference between an energy vampire and a random stranger. Let's just get into that aspect of it first, and then I'll deal with the whole angels towards the middle, towards the end of the video. All right, the difference between random strangers and energy vampires is this. A random stranger is just a random stranger. If it's not a random stranger is just a random stranger. If the person's not bothering you, if the person is just going about their way, if the person is just someone random, you see them, they see you, they look at you, either give you a head nod or say hello, or just don't say anything. That's a random stranger, somebody that is not forcing themselves on you. All right, if you already have dealt with this person, number one, they're obviously not a stranger. It's someone that you either know, someone that you've been around before. If this is someone who has repeatedly stalked you out, like, okay, I know this person's going to come here at like 12:45. If you see this person 12:40, 12:42, 12:50, 12:38, 12:35, like you see this person around the same time every day, and it's like you do not talk to this person, and they just keep bumping into you, and it's like not necessarily you walking past them. Sometimes it is that if they are gang stalking you. But if it's an energy vampire, what they're going to do is they're going to try to create some type of situation to where they can steal your energy. All right, a gang stalker is just going to, like, they're going to probably just be at a distance. A gang stalker is not going to be up that close and personal. They're just probably just going to follow you on some weird stuff or just be in the same place at the same time as you. But an energy vampire, this is someone that's not random. It can be someone random, but it's all in the behavior. All right. So sometimes energy vampires is random, sometimes it's not random, but it's all about the person's behavior. If the person is acting in a way to where they're trying to drain your energy, that's an energy vampire. If somebody is dressed in if somebody's dressed like a vampire, they might just be gothic or whatever, but if they're trying to suck your blood, that's an energy vampire. If they're just dressed like that, then they're just walking past you. If they're just dressed like that and they're not paying you any mind, then that's not a vampire. So the difference between an energy vampire and a random stranger is just the behavior. Random strangers, random people, they're just going to be focused on themselves, minding their business. You may like those are the people where it's actually a incident to where you just randomly either bump into this person or you guys randomly just by chance get in each other's way. All right, the other day I was at a store and it was this older man, and it's like, bro, when like these people are gonna go to the grave as a child. This grown man is like lurking around the store. I had to tell him to like go about his day, And I had to go tell him to go about his day. But this man did the like, oh, you want to dance kind of thing. It's like, bro, you're too grown for that, and you're a man. No offense, but I'm obviously not trying to dance with no man. I'm just trying to get my stuff from the store and go. But it's like you have grown people who seek other people out because they see that they have a high level of energy, and this person will try to cause a situation to where you have to try to, they either see you have a high level of energy or they just want some energy from you because they're targeting you for a specific reason. All right, they're targeting you. Maybe it's because you're race. Maybe it's because you're a man, or maybe it's because you're a woman, or maybe it's because some type of issue that they have with you specifically, just basing it off of what they see when they look at you. All right, and this person wants to try to get some type of reaction out of you. All right, and that's what this man did. He was trying to get some type of reaction out of me. I'm trying to buy things in the store, and this dude is purposely keeps putting himself in the way to like make other people and me try to like have to work our way around him. But once he saw that like I was trying to get my stuff from like this little area or whatever, he targeted me out. Yeah, he targeted me out. He left everybody else alone and he targeted me out. And I ended up having to tell him to go about his day. So the difference between a random stranger and an energy vampire is a random stranger. You're not really going to have too much interaction with them. They're probably focused on themselves, worried about themselves just as much as you are. They probably don't even notice you. They probably didn't even see you. All right, because we're not that important. But energy vampire, people are important to energy vampires because there's what's the word I'm looking for? There's opportunity there for them to try to get some energy, something that they love to do. Try to get attention, try to get energy from people. All right, like they deal with narcissism and they're narcissistic, so it's like any time for them is a good time for somebody to give them some energy, pay them some type of attention, especially if you're trying to focus on yourself. These are the types of people, right? Energy vampires are the types of people that when you're out in public, when you're really trying to focus on yourself, these people will purposely make it harder for you to try to do that. Like these are the types of people that you will end up having to tell about themselves because it's like, yo, go about your day, dude. I don't know what you're up to, but you need to leave me the heck alone. You need to go about your day in a positive way, and sometimes you got to tell people that, like I had to tell this man to go about his day. But that's the difference between energy vampires and random strangers. They're not going to be worried about you. Random strangers are just going to be trying to get what they need to get, just like everybody else, focused on themselves, not paying attention to other people too heavy, except to stay out of the way. And that's another thing, another key quality of random strangers. They're just going to stay out the way, unless this person may just be having a bad day and they're looking for trouble. That like random strangers are just going to stay out of the way. All right, that's a quality of a random stranger. One thing we can all love about them, it's just they just love to stay out the way. All right, I love to be a random stranger. Just go about my day, stay out of people's way, get what I need to get, and I'm out. You know. But energy vampires, they like to cause scenes. They like to get in people's way, like on purpose. There are some instances you can't help it where people just are in your way. It's like, oh, excuse me, kind of thing. Random stranger, if they get in your way, they're just gonna be like, oh, excuse me, and they're just gonna keep going. They're not gonna keep getting in your freaking way. You're like a random stranger, you're not going to have to say excuse me to them 20 times. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Like maybe if y'all are maybe if you guys are shopping around each other, but if this person is like following you around the store, that's an energy vampire. Random strangers don't follow you around the store. All right, unless this person might have a other issue with you and they think you're trying to steal or something. They might see you as a specific person. They might be targeting you because you're race, but they might think you are trying to steal from the store. But that's a whole nother video. But anyway, like yo, this dude, I guess he had targeted me because my race or whatever. But and that probably is the case. But dude kept trying to get some attention, trying to get some energy, and I didn't let him have it, but I did. Like I said, I told him about himself, and I told him he needs to go about his day. You know, it's just all you gotta do is just tell people to go about their day. You don't gotta make a big deal out of it. But with energy vampires, you're gonna end up having to tell them to leave you alone in some type of way, or you're gonna have to tell them to stop bothering you, or to go ahead, like move on kind of thing. Like that's an energy vampire. Random strangers, they're just gonna be focused on themselves. They're not gonna be caring about you. They're gonna be trying to get what they need to get from the store, and that's it. All right, energy vampires. They go out into public to try to get energy from people. Like they create scenes. They look for opportunities to try to bother someone that they see that might be focused on them, to like try to get out the way, kind of thing. It's like, yo, this person's in the way. Like, like if you pay attention to them in any kind of way, like by accident, if they're like near something you need to get and they could tell you're trying to get there, they may like be a weirdo and stand where they see you're trying to get to. It's like, oh, this person's trying to get over here, I'm just gonna keep standing here, or I'm gonna keep hovering around this area so this person can't get to where they need to go. It's just like little weird stuff. You're gonna notice that they do that. Like they don't act like normal people. A random stranger is just gonna act like a normal person, and it's no judgment there. Like if a person is normal or not, there's no level of normal when it comes to normal. Like whatever is normal for you is normal for you. But you could even be a total weirdo and still be normal. It's just the behavior between people when you're out in public is how you tell between a random stranger and an energy vampire. It's all about behavior. Random strangers, they're going to be just focused on themselves. That's it. They need to get what they need to get, and that's it. They're not trying to get attention. They're trying to get what they need to get. Why? And because that's the whole reason why they left the house. Energy vampires, of course, they have reasons why they need to leave the house. Everybody has needs. They're people too, or there's something living inside of a person, and they got to keep that thing fed, whatever it may be, whether they're a person or whether it's something living inside them. Either way, they got to eat. So it's like they need something from the store too. Unfortunately, they have money too. They work too. They shop too. They buy things too. Unfortunately, if in a perfect world we would all have different stores and like, yo, the energy, don't go to that store. So it's like they're going to be places where you have to be too. So it's just all about the person's behavior. It's all about how they're acting. All right, if you notice this person, if you keep having to bump into this person, or if you keep having to, you know, find yourself getting around this person, but they're it feels like they're purposely putting themselves in your way on purpose. Like the person's not even going to be shopping. The person's not even going to be trying to get anything from the store necessarily. They're going to be more focused on you than what it is they're trying to get from the store. That's what I'm saying. All right, they're going to be more focused on you and what you're doing than what they're doing and what they came to the darn store for. That's an energy vampire. They find somebody, oh, okay, I'm going to make this person a victim, or oh, I'm going to see if I can get some energy from this person, or I'm going to see if I could try to uh bother this person some way, or I'm going to do something to this person. And that becomes their whole objective. They still go out and get what they need to, but while they're out, they try to have some fun. These things are fun to these kinds of people. It's sadistic, but they get a kick out of these kinds of things. They get joy out of these kinds of things. Wicked people find joy doing mischief. All right, it's a sport for them. So when they find somebody that they could game on, because they're all, if it's a sport for them and it's a game, that means they're on the hunt for this kind of stuff. So it's like they go out into public hunting. While they're out, they might as well have some fun too. So it's like they hunt for people who they think they could get some energy from. And once you look at the person, or once they see you notice them, or once they see someone pay attention to them, then it's kind of pretty much on, unfortunately. And you'll just end up having to either like maneuver around this person more than you would like to, or you end up having to tell them to go about their day. So, but that is as far as I want to go with the difference between energy vampires and random strangers. All right, just so people can tell, just so people know. But also, just before we go into anything else, I wanted to touch on angels, because when you look up strangers in reference to the scripture that the person posted, it's talking about angels. All right, so An angel is a messenger of God. All right. An angel is a messenger of God. There's people in the Bible who have entertained angels. All right. They had some type of need, whether they needed a place to stay, or whether they needed to be fed, or whether they were looking for like some type of lodging, or they were out there doing some type of work, and people would wash their feet, people would cook for them, make food for them. People would wash their feet, stuff like that, cook for them, make sure they had a place to stay. All right, make sure they had some clothes, make sure they were good. All right, because you know if somebody is coming in the name of God and all those things, and in the name of the Lord, then you want to take care of that person. And some scriptures I'm going to read that to back that up. When you take care of people who are coming in the name of the Lord, He's going to take care of you. All right, so that's why people would take care of angels and things like that. And plus, because they were believers. So if they're believers of the faith, if they believe in God and Christ, then when angels came, who were messengers of God and messengers of Christ, all right, so they would take care of them and make sure they were good because they know that they will be blessed. Whoever blesses you, I will bless them. All right. And basically it's like they were actual angels during that time period. And it was people who, so it was either an actual angel or it was a person who was a messenger of God. All right. So today, in the day and age we live in, it's just more or less messengers of God. Like you may experience like an angel and like some supernatural stuff, you know, but there are also angels that come bearing like the message of God, and those are also angels. Anybody who bears the message of Christ is looked at as an angel and should be looked upon as an angel from that aspect, not like on the supernatural aspect. But in some cases, when it comes to divinity and all that, you kind of can look at it on the supernatural aspect, because there are certain people who can do quote unquote, you know, certain people who have gifts from God and things like that. So technically you could see it on like the supernatural aspect when it comes to us divine beings. All right. Um, Hebrews 13, verse 3. Continue to remember those in prison as you were together with them in prison. Those are mistreated as if you were suffering. So that's basically just saying, like, don't forget people who were, that's just the end of that Hebrews verse about the entertain strangers as angels. That's basically just like if people are locked up and you know them, don't forget about them. Treat them as if they were right there with you. All right. But basically that was in the time where like people were being persecuted and locked up for like the sake of Christ and all those things. But still, somebody's locked up. You definitely don't want to forget them. Um, and if anybody that you know is suffering, treat them as like it was yourself suffering. You wouldn't want yourself to be going through anything and not have anyone have your back. So if you know someone's suffering and you could entertain them and you could help them out, because it could be an angel, um, you may want to make sure that they're good, because you would want someone to make sure you're good. And it really could, who am I to say? It really could actually be like an angel, and that's what we're getting into. And I know that's what that person meant with that post, like entertain strangers. But it's like, yo, if you could see that a person is a full-blown uh knucklehead, like an angel's not going to come in the name of vampirism. You know what I mean? An angel's going to come with a message. An angel's going to be someone bearing some type of truth. Or the angel's going to be someone that is bearing the truth of God, that's trying to spread some type of godly, positive message. Okay, that's going to be an angel. Angel is not just going to be some random stranger trying to get on your nerves, or random strangers don't get on your nerves, but it's not going to be some energy vampire out there trying to get on people's nerves and trying to get energy from people. That's not the type of stranger that I was referring to, and that's not the type of stranger that God's referring to when it says to entertain strangers. You don't want to entertain a demon, man. You don't want to entertain some energy thirsty, energy trapping demon, somebody out there for blood trying to frustrate you and piss you off. You could bring one of them people in your home if you want to, And I guarantee when they leave, you probably will end up pulling all your hair out. Galatians chapter 6, verse 10. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. So when it was talking about entertain strangers, it was talking about people of the faith. All right, it's not just talking about strangers, just like random people out there in the world. It's talking about people of the faith, somebody that you don't know, but they come bearing a positive message, or in that particular time they came bearing the message of Christ. People would take care of them, like I said, cook them food, wash their feet, things like that, make sure they had a place to stay. Because during biblical times, like it was a lot of unsavory characters at certain inns and at certain places. All right, kind of like it is now. But yes, nothing changed but the date on the calendar, huh? But shout out to my grandfather for that. But people would people would take the messengers of God in their home because they didn't want them to stay in a place where it was unholy people at, where it was unsavory characters, you know. So they were good. That's why it says Galatians 6:10. Therefore, as we have opportunity, like you have to take hold of that opportunity. Like that's a very important thing to do. Like it's an opportunity to look out for somebody who's of the faith. All right, let us do good to all, especially to those who are of the household of faith. You're supposed to look out for your fellow brothers and sisters of Christ. All right, God's servants who travel about as missionaries and ministers give more blessings than they receive. So it's like if somebody's coming with a positive message and somebody's coming bearing the good word, then they're coming to they're bearing gifts. It's like they're bearing blessings because like whatever information they had, whatever knowledge they had, whatever they had, message they had to share or give, like that would be a blessing to the people. So therefore, believers should be generous in supporting them and helping them to accomplish the work. That's Corinthians 9:11 through 14 and 16, chapter 16, verse 17. So back to Galatians chapter 6, verse 6. Those who are taught the word of God should provide for their teachers, sharing all good things with them. So it's like people who were teaching the word of God that just came to a random land, those are who was seen as strangers. All right, those were the people who were strangers. You're not going to leave somebody out who came to teach you and then okay, peace out. Yeah, that's it. Yep, we out. All right, bye. Like they would take care of the people who taught them, people who instructed them on the word of God, on the word of the Lord, stuff like that. So that's what this stuff is about. It's not talking about just like, yo, you see some random person, like if somebody has a need, if somebody needs water, give them water. If somebody needs food, give them food. If you can help somebody with a place or something like that, and you've tested their faith, you've tested their spirit, you've tested this type of individual, cool, but be careful doing that because we live in a different day and age. Nothing is too different, but people just things are a little bit different today. Somebody might come in need and they might leave in abundance, if you can catch my drift on that. So just be wise. And it's not really like today, you really have to be careful doing that. You're supposed to entertain strangers, but like don't be bringing them all in your home and stuff like that, unless you could feel the spirit on the person and you could look them in the eye and tell that that's a real man or woman of God kind of thing. All right. But yeah, Galatians chapter 6, verse 6, it said, those who are taught the word of God should provide for their teachers, sharing all good things with them. So they provided for the people who were teaching the word. They shared good things with them: food, home, shelter, foot washes, things like that, taking care of them, making sure that they didn't want for anything. All right, Paul explained to Timothy that one of the qualities required of a church leader is he must enjoy having guests in his home. And that's for people who are like ministers and pastors and stuff like that. If somebody is in need, you should help them. You're not supposed to be stingy. Like there are people during like during what's it called, Hurricane Katrina, who had mega churches. We're not really going to get into all that, but there's people who had mega churches that eventually kick people out and they ain't even really let them stay there, kind of thing. But there's like certain people who do have churches, and I respect that. There's people who have churches and they actually let people like stay there during the wintertime and stuff like that because it's cold. They don't want people to freeze to death. And it's like, yo, you got that big behind church. But I mean, I understand because it's the house of God and it's his business and it's how he wants to run things or how they want to run things. So I understand. But me personally, if you have that much space and you can help people, then you should. That's just how I feel. All right. Only just a few more scriptures and then we out of here, y'all. All right. So just bear with me. Dear friend, you are being faithful to God when you care for traveling teachers who pass through. That's what I'm saying. It's about teachers, random people that came to bear a message, random people that came to teach you something. Not random in the sense of that's just a random person, but somebody not from your area, but of the same stock, of the same quality, of the same faith as you. All right, dear friend. Not to say that you shouldn't, if somebody is thirsty or whatever, you feed your enemy, you clothe your enemy, or love your enemy that way. Make sure they straight, make sure they good, and then that's it. But, dear friend, you are being faithful to God when you care for the traveling teachers who pass through, even though they are strangers to you, people that you don't know. But they're the same as you, but they're just strangers because you don't know them. They have told the church here of your loving friendship. Please continue providing such teachers in a manner that please God. You're doing this to please God because they came in the word of Him, for they are traveling for the Lord and they accept nothing from people who are not believers. So we ourselves should support them so that we can be their partners as they teach the truth. 3 John chapter 1 verse 5 through 8. So during those time periods when they were traveling, they weren't accepting anything from, like, if you weren't a believer, they weren't messing with you. They wouldn't take anything from you. So it's like that's why when you came across other believers, even though that person you don't know them, you provided for them, you helped for them because y'all were of the same faith. Be hospitable to one another without grumbling. All right, that means you're supposed to share. You're supposed to offer up what you have. You're supposed to be hospitable to them uh, without having an attitude. All right, because God doesn't have an attitude when He helps us, so you're not supposed to have an attitude when it comes to helping others. All right, and that's 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 9. And Paul advised Titus that a good bishop should be hospitable, a love of what is good. All right, so just be hospitable and love what's good. It's good to share. It's good to give. That's Titus 1, chapter 1, verse 8. And he wrote to the Romans should be given to hospitality. Hospitality. All right, Drew. Hospitality. Romans chapter 12, verse 13. So you should be given to hospitality. All right, you should have hospitality. You know how they say Southern hospitality. People will look out for each other. People will take care of each other because that's the Southern way. But in the form of faith and things like that, people would look after each other with the same faith. All right. Freely you have received, freely give. Matthew chapter 10 verse 8. God is a giving God. He gives us abundance. He always wants to make sure we're good. So other brothers and sisters, you should if they're in need, then you should make sure that they're good as well. All right. Shouldn't be anything for you to want to help out another brother or sister that is in need. He who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. That means if you're stingy, if you're stingy to your brothers and sisters, that means God's going to be stingy with you. The universe is going to be stingy with you. And he sows bountifully will reap bountifully. That means if you are sowing abundantly, that means you're going to reap abundance back. All right, so that's why when I put the other day, like, and I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not going to argue with anybody who wants to think how they want to think. But that post I made the other day when I said that the more wealth I give, the more my wealth explodes. Just so you guys can, somebody put in the comments, I wish that was true. It's right here. Freely you have received, freely you give. Matt chapter 10, verse 8. Where's it at? Yeah. Again, who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. If you sow bountifully, you'll reap bountifully. The more you give, the more you're going to get. You don't give because you're going to get something, but that's just the way it works. So, I mean, technically, you kind of could. So let each one of us give as his purposes as for let each one give as he purposes his heart. You're supposed to give as you purpose your heart. You're supposed to give generously because you have a generous heart. You're supposed to purpose your heart generously. You're supposed to have a generous, heart towards your people and things like that. So you're supposed to give generously to your people. So let each one give as he purposes his heart, not grudgingly, out of necessity. For God loves a cheerful giver, and God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that you always have sufficiency. So God always makes sure you have something. So you should always look at other people and not grudgingly give. And if you can, if you have it to give, make sure that they have something as well, because God always makes sure you have something, especially if you're you're wealthy or you have abundance or you've been blessed. You're supposed, that's why I always say, when you get blessed, you're supposed to bless others. And God is able to make all grace abound toward you, that you always have sufficiency in all things, may have an abundance for every good work. So like when you do good works, you're going to be abundant. So it's really not a problem. It's nothing to trip over. Just make sure your works are good. You're going to be abundant, but you're supposed to help people that are in need. So when you give, you're going to be giving back in abundance. All right. But all that is for, it's not for someone who is acting like a knucklehead. I'm sure it still is good to help certain people in certain aspects like that, but not to say that you're not going to help someone just because they're a knucklehead. You help everybody. But the thing is, you're not going to help someone that's out to hurt you. You're not going to help someone that's out to get you. You're not going to help someone that's trying to harm you in any kind of way. It just doesn't make logical sense. So that's that. That's how you tell the difference between a random stranger and an energy vampire. All right, and the strangers that they were talking about in the Bible is people that came bearing the message of God, not just random people out in the world that you don't know. All right, so that clears up that comment, that clears up that video. Some people asked the difference between a random stranger and an energy vampire, so I thought it would be cool to make this video. Any other videos you all want me to make, put it in the comment section. Comment on like certain things in the community post. I might just post something where it says what type of videos are you guys interested in, or what type of videos would you like to hear me make, or what type of subjects or topics you want me to talk about. So feel free, and you could do that on any of my posts, any post that I post or anything that I post, whether it be video or picture. Feel free to comment underneath it and ask me to talk about whatever it is you want me to talk about. I apologize if anybody already did that and I forgot, or I looked over it, or I didn't see it, but let's get right into it. So thank you for watching this video. Smash the like button, smash the share button, and don't forget to subscribe. We out.